marking out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
See, it's getting closer to Halloween. So now we just have haunted house sounds. All right? Sorry. Good morning. How are you? It's Tuesday here on the program. Hope you're well, wherever you might be. Marvin Miami joins us coming up here at 6:45-ish. Ryan Siegel from the Boundary Corner podcast, and Mike Burnham. So we got good stuff for you today. Hope everybody got through Monday as well as you could. We get closer and closer to the start of cold weather a lot. Football season coming to an all too sudden conclusion when you think about it. Basketball season's here. Hey, the NBA gets started tonight. I know how excited everybody is. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Garrett. Hey, Prometheus. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Mark Hunley and crew. And also, make sure you give us a call on our Professional Door Incorporated text line, 540-391-0788. You know, yesterday, awesome worlds collided because Travis over at Professional Door went to go see Mark right off of Pepper Story Road, McClellan. They both, of course, supporters of the program, and they were interacting the way it's awesome. So Travis got over, got his consultation. He's going to get straightened out. And, man, Travis is like a big dude, man, and like in all the right play. That dude's strong. So he's got, some issues, and Mark will help him out. And Mark is the best. Mark, he's just the best. So if you need something with your back, something that's hurting, go see Mark. You're going to be impressed with the technology. I think it's great that they hooked up. They both let me know yesterday. It's awesome. It's awesome. I want to thank Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, Jonathan Sweet, Tim Miller, for being the presenting sponsor of this program. Everything that they are doing in Pulaski County, all I hear is great things. And when they get the multi-sportsplex done, and then next year throughout the warmer weather, and when you hear about all the great events that are going to be coming through the New River Valley and how all the intersecting communities are joining forces with Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, I mean, that's a heck of an influence right there. So it's not just like us against the world. They want to have a complete inclusion for everybody here in Southwest Virginia. I'm just blown away by those folks. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. Give Charles Lee a call. The BDST fan question of the week, sponsored by the attorney Ryan Pry, 701 West Main Street. It's pretty simple. Do you want Shane Beamer to be the next head football coach at Virginia Tech? Most of you are saying no. It's interesting. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST, thanks to Larry Ramsey. I've been with them for 35 years. They are the best. Go buy your next vehicle from Brad Harvey, Harvey's GM. I've bought my last 3 trucks/SUVs from Brad. Told him exactly what I wanted. I got a call within 24 hours. Hey, we found these, blah, blah, blah. You want to come by? Check them out. Here's what your rates would be. And I had a vehicle like 3 days later. Great service department, too. Great service department. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. James Lawson, thanks to his support, 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg, 5403 at 18011. Family Fencing. Oh, my goodness gracious. The first sponsor we had here on the program. And they're getting ready to have some information about what they do during the winter. Don't just think it's during warm weather. A no-dig installation system. The product doesn't matter. Residential, commercial, agricultural fencing doesn't matter. Finance options. Locally owned, free quotes, 540-200-8294 for Family Fencing. Thanks, Jason. And the NRB Super Bowl. Go Bowl. They're the best. 25 years. Boogie bowling on Halloween, for God's sakes. From the Wise Cavaliers in Clinch Valley. Hey, that's where my son is. To the Duke Dog in Harrisonburg. And now the Daytona State Falcons in Palm Beach, or Palm Coast. Oh, that's cool. Daytona State Falcons. That sounds cool. BDST is on the air. Good morning, Morris. How are you? Good morning, Opal. Yeah, Marva does know her stuff. Marva's going to give us a health check on North Carolina football. And I appreciate that. Marva, last week, she got so many compliments from people. She's outstanding. I told you. Got to know her professionally, personally, when we were good friends when she worked down at the stations when we were the roving morning people. Yeah, she's sharp, man. Sharp. Paul says college football radio over, or at least the Virginia Tech roller coaster ride. All right. First of all, thanks everybody. I heard all day long how much you enjoyed yesterday with Phil Omation and Todd Grantham. How good was Todd? Good morning, Rodney. How are you? Todd was great. Todd will be coaching again. He just got caught up. It was interesting, wasn't it? By the way, that AD, if you look up the research at Oklahoma State, was up for an extension, was apparently told by the president, look, you're not going to get one unless you make a move on football. So he fired all the football people. And then he got a 4-year extension like 2 days later. But in any event, thank you. Thanks for that. Those guys are so smart, and they give us so much intelligence, things that we just don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's so great to hear the process of everything, because you're going to hear all the speculation, and we kind of know how things go with the agents, and we know that there's so much positioning with coaches trying to, get themselves out there. But at the same time, if they're currently with a program, they want to make sure they're loyal to their program. But it's a fine line, and boy, to get that insight is very, very interesting. We saw some words of encouragement from both Florida State and Wisconsin. We know what that means. That means both of those coaches are doomed. FSU announced they will not make an in-season coaching change. Mike Norvell, they say, hey, we're going to try to support him as much as possible. I don't know what that means. I don't know how you can try to all of a sudden support them more. I think the quote was, give Mike Norvell all the resources he needs to succeed. I believe he probably did that going into the season. But what that does is alleviates the speculation, and it allows them to, let's say if it is a money issue with the buyout, maybe they want to make sure they have everything in place, because you're looking at over probably $100 million for them to buy out Norvell and then go out and find a new coach. Now, Phil Omation made some outstanding points. I'll tell you, the one that resonated with me, and I think with you yesterday, was, look, if they can put the buyout language in these contracts, then they've got it to pay it. It's money that doesn't move, is what he was explaining. And I thought, you know what? That I've never thought of it that way. He's exactly right. If they agree to these just god-awful buyouts that none of us will ever understand, no, I still don't understand. But if they're doing that, then they have it. They have it ready. It's just money that doesn't move. It's money that's accounted for. So I'm not going to pay much attention to the buyouts anymore. A lot of people are going to get tied up about that. I thought that was a great point. And who would know? Somebody who's been in college football for over 40 years? Yeah. Todd Grantham says the same thing. So there's that. And the same thing happened at Wisconsin with Luke Fickell. Now, Coach Omation just left there. He said, yeah, something's going to happen there. He knows. And all this is doing is just delaying things until the end of the season. The Mike Norvell situation doesn't surprise me. I never thought he was a standout coach. Florida State made the hire. Of course, he had the year. Things just went down. It's amazing how things went completely downhill from when they were sitting in that room after they went undefeated. They had the injury at quarterback, and then they were left out of the playoff. And there was a shot that was circulating on X yesterday. This is when it all ended for Mike Norvell, because he's sitting there, and they think they're going to get in. They wanted to see thought at least they'd be the number 4 seed. This was before the expanded playoff. And they go undefeated, lost their quarterback, and they got left out of the playoff. And there's this dead silence, and you see Mike Norvell just hang his head, and he gets up, and he just kind of walks out of the room. And then the next year they go 2-10. They beat Alabama this year. Oh, my goodness, everybody was thinking they're back, and now they've completely imploded again. And now he's getting into physical altercations with his star defensive lineman. He will not be the coach after this year unless they just rally, win all their games, go to some bowl. I don't know. We'll see. But it's very interesting. Very interesting. Maura says, Marva is the bomb. Smart lady in Miami. God knows the Magic City needs more like her. I have to pass that along. I'll trade her for McDaniels. Yeah, Mike McDaniel. So Wisconsin and Florida State, those dreaded words of encouragement. Then you had the situation at Auburn. Hugh Freeze is going, boy, I wish my AD would give me a public. He asked for a public sign of support. Prometheus, I was reading yesterday when the university made people sign the NDA. When the university made people sign the NDA, that they usually have a guy or maybe 2. Do you think Tech will hire someone sooner than later? I changed my thinking as the show ended yesterday because I started to get information. And I made a post on our BDST Facebook page that has gotten over 17,000 interactions. And all it is a new prediction. I didn't reference any of the sources. I just said, hey, for kicks, here is my latest prediction of the new head football coach at Virginia Tech. And I did that yesterday, shortly after the show, because I got on the phone quite literally 5 minutes after I got in the vehicle to head down to Radford to start my day. And things started popping. And that prediction is, are you ready? Now keep in mind, a prediction doesn't mean this is what you want to see happen. This isn't a preference. This is a prediction. I told you what I wanted yesterday. All right? I want the Chesney-Roan combo in Blacksburg down at JMU. I would love to, Paul. I would love to have Marva on just have Marva chime in every quarter hour as she's getting her kids ready for school. Hey, Marva, how are you? Good morning. Give us the weather. And she'd give us the weather in Miami. Well, Rick, it's going to be 82 today. It's not sweater weather. And then here it'll be like 22, snowing, ice. But my prediction yesterday, based on what I was told from 2 different sources, and by the way, neither of the sources were on the show yesterday, was that this gentleman will be the new head football coach in Blacksburg. James Franklin will be the new head coach, was my prediction. There you go. And I put it up there. A lot of people agree. A lot of people don't. I was just basing it on the conversations I had, even before we got to 10 o'clock in the morning. So give me your thoughts. It's just a prediction. It's not a declaration of this is going to happen. It's not saying, hey, did you hear Rick? Rick really wants James Franklin. No. I've told you what I wanted. But I think they're swinging for a name. After what happened with Brent Pry, they had their no-name hire. I don't mean that in a negative way toward Coach Pry, but you know what I mean. He wasn't a head coach. He has never led a program. But I was told that the people at Virginia Tech are really fond of James Franklin that are on the search committee. And that conversations are happening. So there you go. That was just my prediction. May not happen. Whomever they get, I've said this all along, they're going to not leave any stone unturned. Mike Burnham's going to join us. He's best friends with Bruce Arians. I can just ask him the question. Now, whether he answers it or not, I don't know. But that's just my opinion. That was my prediction based on the information yesterday. Just a prediction that it feels like that's the way the winds are blowing now. A lot of you are going to like that. A lot of you were all over it early, despite the obvious red flags about his poor record and that graphic that I just put up, despite the fact that Penn State couldn't wait to get him out of there and pay the $50 million. Maybe, let's just go benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was a situation, and I didn't think he came across great on game day. A lot of you thought he did. I did not. I thought it was intentional, and maybe it's smart. It was an intentional self-promoting. ESPN got on board, gave them a chance to kind of make a Big Ten power school look bad because they're all in bed with the SEC. You got to look at this thing from a broader picture of what ESPN's interest was in having Franklin on game day. But let's just say maybe it was just a personal thing with the AD there, and they just clashed, and maybe he was just looking for any reason, and then he got enough backing. The things that's also a red flag is this team that was predicted maybe to be a national title contender, preseason top 3, completely quit on their coach. So there are things that come with it. There's a lot of good with his overall record. There's a lot of really good with the way he's recruited, especially here in the Commonwealth. As Phil Amation said yesterday, he wants the interview that James Franklin gave to Vanderbilt, not the one that he gave to Penn State. He would like to have that guy, if he were hiring at Virginia Tech, sell the folks in Blacksburg on, he wants Vanderbilt James Franklin to sell them on hiring him. So there's good, there's bad. That's going to be true with any coach. Do I think that he really likes himself a lot? Yes, I do. Do I think he's going to be an easy guy for the media to handle if he does get hired? No. Do I think he'll ever be on this program? Probably not. I'll try. But that was just my prediction. That's all it was. It's not an endorsement. It's not saying it's going to happen. But it was interesting to see how quickly people are now saying that Shane Beamer and that whole possibility is a horrible idea. And now when I got the information that I did after the show, it made me realize, okay, so now that even adds more to why Shane came out with the Sunday statement. It was late Sunday afternoon, because he now knows that this job is likely James Franklin's to lose. So he reiterated his commitment to South Carolina, his love of the place, called it his dream job, blah, 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 blah. So give me your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you in chat. I'd love to hear from you on our professional door text line. And I'm not taxing you. It's a text line in our McClellan Chiropractic chat room. If you gave me red pill Beamer and blue pill Franklin, I'm taking the blue pill. Yeah. And I think if it comes down to that, and maybe it is, maybe we won't know, you have to make that decision. I tell you what's making the rounds, and I told you about it. It was all over X again yesterday on a lot of tech sites. Maybe even showed up on Tech Sideline was Shane's post-game presser on Saturday. It just makes him look really bad, the way he reacts to things. It really does. It really does. Morris says, I misspoke. I wouldn't trade the Hokey Bob Dollar General bag boy for McDaniels. I meant McDaniels for Marvin. Need more coffee. Yeah, and the Dolphins did the same thing to Mike McDaniel. They said, yeah, we're not making a change yet. Dolphins are an absolute train wreck. Train wreck. Matthew, this is very correct in every sense. Franklin better than Shane, greater than Shane, but Franklin loves him some Franklin. Oh, my Lord. Boy, does he love him some James Franklin. Remember the famous Terrell Owens quote? I love me some me. Remember that? Well, Franklin loves him some Franklin. But who knows? You know, maybe if that happens, let's say that happens, right? And you're looking at probably at least $10 million a year. They would have to be, you know, you have to spend a little more if you're going to hire that guy. And we're just throwing out theoretical scenarios. There's a lot of people get concerned about, you know, what schools like that, in particular, Penn State has done in-state recruiting. I think he would shore all that up. There would be probably even more of a commitment to the amount of dollars to fill the roster. That's what he was used to at Penn State. Now, even though Virginia Tech's going to have all these awesome resources they've never had before, it's not going to approach what Penn State has already had in place. And Joseph, you got onto my point here because I did hear some other things about that because you are the best audience in YouTube. Joseph says this. He says, I'm sure Virginia Tech is not the only school that will be after him. You are correct. You are correct. By the way, I got a great, who is this? I don't know who is this on the tech. Whoever sent me the text, marinade fillets in beef broth mixture for 3 days, reverse sear using the smoker up to 105 degrees, then sear in cast iron pan to 135, and finally resting for 10 minutes before eating. Yep, I think I'll try that one again. Oh, my goodness gracious, the pictures. Thank you. Anytime you want to send me pictures of your prepared meats, feel free. Love it. Good morning, Tootie. So, Joseph, getting back to your point, I'm sure that there'll be other schools after him. You're correct. The ones to watch is one job that hasn't come open yet. This was from a source that actually spoke to his agent. UCLA. James Franklin is the quintessential UCLA hire. Keep an eye on UCLA and keep an eye on a job that's not open. My goodness, my throat, my apologies. This time of year when the weather changes, it happens every year. You may have to bear with me for a couple of weeks. I used to always give people the warning on the radio show. I'll have a little stuff that my throat has to adjust to, so I apologize. I hate it, and I don't want it to be, gross, but something about the cold air shift. That's how I know the winter is coming, because this happens every year, and I apologize. I'm sorry. It may not go away for a while. The Auburn job that's not open yet is the one that to keep an eye on too. So this is what I'm saying. He's not without other suitors, as Joseph so accurately pointed out. But I think from what I've told, he likes the idea of kind of, how do you say this without, I'm not at all demeaning Tech's program, but I don't want to even say come down a level, but I think you all know what I mean. Instead of going from a blue blood to another blue blood, maybe he wants to just kind of do that. The Auburn job will be a great job. It will be. And I think that's the one that he's really eyeballing. See, he doesn't need to be in any hurry. So someone said earlier, I think it'll be soon. Maybe not soon. It may drag a little bit. But I think you're all of a sudden going to start hearing other outlets tie these things together because that's what the agents want. And they are the promoters for these coaches. Matthew says, I remember Franklin being a big name when USC took Lincoln Riley. Absolutely. Any chances someone would take Riley and cause that domino to fall? Could. And then, a school like USC, they're not shy. If they were to find out that James Franklin really wanted the USC job, which if he wants to be in Cali, makes sense to want USC over UCLA, you might see USC be reactive and going, look, we'll give you the job. Do you want us? Okay. Yeah. And then they'll go fire him. Yeah. See, the dominoes we think they're falling now. They haven't even started to fall yet because there's just so much that's going to happen. And there's a lot of great landing spots. At least there's a lot of very attractive landing spots. There's so much pressure in a lot of these jobs, but Auburn would immediately leap up into that Florida Penn State range as the best job. No question. And it feels like when you have the coach going out yesterday, hey, I'd love my AD to give me some support, or I'm like, wow. And it didn't happen. So I could see a change there. And then that would change things, I think, from what I was told. Apparently James Franklin really covets the Auburn job. But I do believe that he's been talking to the committee. I do believe there's been several conversations to get to know you. What kind of things would you be looking for? Blah, blah, blah. What would it potentially take? Absolutely. Do I think that's happened? Yes, 100%. Yes, I do, with what I've been told. And I think Tech's talking to a lot of people. On the question, this came through on the text line, on the professional door text line. On the question of whether or not Shane should be the coach, it's not just a no, but a hell no. He brings nothing but mediocrity to the program. Celebrate the past, but stop living in the past. I think that is a very wise text. A very wise text. Well, one thing I was already wrong about, if you go back, and I wanted to watch that interview just to watch his body language. You have to watch something before you can just say, oh, I read what he said. No, I went back and watched it. I watched it when it happened just because I wanted to see. The one thing I was wrong about, and look, I'm never, ever going to hesitate when I'm wrong about something. He generally seemed to have a desire to jump right back into coaching, and I didn't think he would have that. I thought maybe he'd just say, all right, well, maybe I need to reassess. But he really seemed like he wanted to coach. Like that meant more to him than the money. And that did surprise me a little bit. But I thought that part was genuine. I mean, they had everything planned out the way that was going to go, obviously. So, yeah, he generally seemed like coaching football was more important than anything else. And that's a good sign if you are a Tech or somebody looking to potentially hire him. Because a lot of people speculated, myself included, that he goes on game day because he's trying to get to know the ESPN people. He's trying to check out the set. He's trying to see how it works because that's where he was going to end up for a year. But keep in mind, this was just me predicting it, putting it out there. I wanted to get a feel for what people thought. I would say about half of the people responded were all over it, and the other half, it was mixed up, different people and what they didn't like. I told you what I would do. I would go get the JMU duo and be done with it. But Tech has, the more I thought about that throughout the day, Tech has put themselves in a position to where they can't probably do that. They're thinking splash, splash, splash. In other words, not that it's correct. They might be looking at Coach Chesney like Brent Pry. We've already hired our Brent Pry. Dwell on the past, you lose an eye. You forget the past, you lose both eyes. You got to be careful because those two things are not connected. And Chesney's a head coach. Britt Pry was not. So that maybe that's what they're thinking. Wayne, we need to just lock down a JMU twofer. There you go. If AD and coach are willing to come. Matt Roden's on the program tomorrow. Proven success and winners with hunger to prove themselves. Absolutely. In the state. Yeah, I think I saw a chip on his shoulder. Paul talking about Franklin, someone that was slighted and wanted revenge. And you know what? If you get an extra motivated James Franklin because of that, and he puts aside his ego a little bit or a lot, that whoever would hire him is going to get a better version potentially. If he's Tech's number one's guy, they better get him signed soon. Yeah, if they can. I don't think he'll last that long. I think what's going to be the swing here, Joseph, if we see Auburn make a move, and you never know, you don't know who's interested in whom. Let's say if Auburn wants him, and this whole thing. Now, the source did say this. You hear these things, and you know that they're factual. In other words, this source knew that there had been several talks between Franklin and the Tech committee. But that kind of thing immediately gets spread out. Oh, Ben, he would like to be at your job, but he's talking, he might be leveraging. There's so much leveraging that goes on. And it's exactly what agents are supposed to be doing is, Filmation said yesterday, they're doing their job. As a WVU fan, Garrett says no to Beamer. Yeah. Look, he's had a lot of those press conferences, but I thought the one after the game Saturday was it really made him look bad. He does that a lot. He does it to himself. Prometheus says, I don't see Tech hiring anyone outside the Power Four due to the last two hires, limitations. Tech will hire big names, so the Denvers will be excited. There's a lot to that. I think from what I've heard, the name, that's exactly what they're focused on. Hokey Bob, regarding dominoes, we haven't even opened the pack of dominoes we'll be playing with yet. Heck, the Super Dollar Stock Boy hasn't even returned the agent's call. Yeah, I know. And that's why I was a bit surprised to see Florida State and Wisconsin say they're not going to make in-season moves unless they're letting these agents know that's going to come open as soon as the season's over. We just don't – right now it's kind of messy. We're not doing it. What I talked about earlier, Wayne, there you go. Franklin can recruit Virginia, 757. I don't know. Paul asked, last Wednesday, boy, chat, you guys gave Damian Sordelette up and down. I can't imagine he'd bring Brent Pry back. Watch Sordelette end up being right. Watch his entire scenario come, and then watch Tech fan revolt. That would get them against James Franklin immediately. Tech only has 8 high school commits. It's not as important. Yeah, right now it's not because you got to get somebody in there and then just see what they decide to do. But right now it does not. You are correct. Right now it matters not. You can't – no commitment now is going to matter because nobody knows who's going to be the new head coach yet. So just let that roll. Let them finish out the season. Let them play Cal on Friday and just go forward from that. And here's David's point. He recruited well in Virginia because of the Penn State brand. Yes. I think what you have to be careful about is just assuming all of a sudden that, especially with now in this day and age of the money, that guys have the same mindset toward Virginia Tech in the 757 and throughout the Commonwealth that they used to. Penn State has more resources. They're always going to have more resources. Always. And that does have a lot to do with it. Even before the official NIL declarations, they had a lot more resources, if you know what I mean. Blue chips. If Shane comes to Tech, he'll always been compared to his dad. I know, and that's the other part of it. None of it makes any sense other than people still having that, the Beamer name. My opinion is that would be an unmitigated disaster if they end up if that is ultimately what they have to do because of attrition at other places, or if the candidates they like start falling one by one. I can't imagine that working. And all I tell people, and I still have people that come up to me that said that would be a good hire. This was a team that was ranked number 13 in the country. They haven't played one good game all year long, even in their wins. South Carolina State, Virginia Tech played them off their feet for 3 quarters. If not for a horrible penalty, for a re-kick, who knows how that thing may have gone. They struggled with South Carolina State. He had a must-perform game to keep all this speculation off so he wouldn't have to release a statement on a Sunday, the day after a game, against Oklahoma, who had just got boat raced by their arch rival the week before. And Texas is not a physically intimidating team. But they manhandled Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma goes to Columbia in an afternoon game at 12:45 and just absolutely manhandles South Carolina in a game he had to have. And now you got Alabama coming in. And yet you have people still saying it would be a good idea. Yeah, they did. And this is the other part. I'm glad you brought this up, Paul, because I always forget to bring this up. Marvel will join us here in about 7 minutes, by the way. He says, I'm sure that they have lost more recruits due to the scandal at Penn State than gained. If I were a player, I would have refused to play there. It's a tainted program. It was a tainted program, but you can't associate what happened in the past to what is coming in the future. Were there a lot of old heads who looked the other way? I mean, let's don't be naive. Yes. Or none of that would have gone on with Sandusky. Is Joe Paterno's legacy completely turned around a little bit? Yeah. But you are allowed to move forward out of that, and none of the players that came after it had anything to do with any of that. None of the coaches that came after. So what I say about James Franklin is this: he took over a nearly impossible situation. That program was almost wiped out. The NCAA, when it still had some power, actually, it was actually Penn State people. They almost abolished that program. It was like, I think on the table was like 5 years, to kill it for 5 years at a minimum after all that. So what he did to restore Penn State football deserves to be commended. And I don't bring that up enough. Not just anybody could have gone up there and waded through that the way that he did. And maybe that's where the ego part, you have to have a little ego to be confident in what you're doing, to where you're not just kind of always acting as if you're not sure. And he had enough confidence in himself after what he did at Vanderbilt to go up there and restore that. And they probably had a very limited pool at the time because of what went on, Paul, what you're talking about. There are probably a lot of coaches they would have maybe preferred that were like, no, we're not going anywhere near that. Don't. So that makes sense to me. And the fact that he did it and had him in position, had him in the playoff last year, I mean, the things that he did there, he restored recruiting very quickly. So that should if he ends up being the hire, that should excite Tech fan from that standpoint. There's going to be a lot of baggage. There's going to be a lot of things that's going to make us go, But he would have a good staff, and he would be able to bring players in. But I don't think he gets enough credit for going into that situation, Paul, as you mentioned. And what he was able to do to restore that program. And now they've moved beyond it. And, that's why they feel like now they're able to get rid of a guy paying $50 million and find a guy they deem to be better. I mean, Penn State's going to hire a big name. But we're all said it last Wednesday here on the program. Their pool of candidates isn't nearly as large as Virginia Tech's, just because of they have to have someone that's going to move the donors and make Penn State fans and alumni get excited. So they're probably looking at, realistically, maybe 3-4 people. Who that is, I don't know. I got to be honest, I haven't kept up with the Penn State job, other than now they don't have James Franklin. I don't know what they might be doing. Wayne says kids don't remember things for over 5 years ago. No, they forget things 5 days later. It is amazing how quickly they came back. 100% it is. Prometheus, Franklin built Vanderbilt. Do I need to say more? David says, if building Vandy is the standard, do we go after their current coach? They are ranked and relevant. I'm telling you, it feels very similar to me. Clark Lee. Look, if you knew you were going to get Clark Lee and Jerry Kill, how many Tech fans would go, sign me up for that? I mean, he unearthed, talking about Jerry Kill, Diego Pavia. Yesterday I was sitting at work, and I went and I watched the highlights again of Pavia against LSU. If anybody wants to doubt that kid, just go turn on the highlights of that game. That's a tough question, Rodney. Rodney asked, with the new coach, do you think all the assistants would be gone? I don't know about all. Okay, we don't know. Let's say if it is ultimately James Franklin, who knows how many people he may know on the staff. I think there are people over there that should be considered. I mean, I think J.C. Price is a hell of a football coach. He's a Tech guy. I think you need a couple of guys. So I don't know. It's a good question. It'd be totally up to him what kind of relationship that he has. I don't know. Jerry Kill unearthed a certain OC in Blacksburg. Yeah. Yeah. You're probably correct, Prometheus. I don't think Tech is as good of a job as Vandy in 2025. They got a lot of money, Nashville. And he's hung the moon down there. Clark Lee's a hell of a football coach. Hokey Bob, today's players follow the Joe Pesci method. It's all about the dollars. Yeah, it is. Coach can help, but a coach who understands the dollars, as Franklin would do and does, he did, helps out a lot too. Do you think Tech next year is going to be a total rebuild from the ground up? Yes. I think any coach doesn't really care about the roster right now. They're not even thinking about it. They're trying to implement what they want to do. And that's okay. If it's a total teardown, that is okay. Because what's been going on is not working. Now, there might be some of these young guys that you might want to try to retain. I don't know. But if you get the right guy in there, or at least the name in there, you're going to have players. They have the money. They're going to have players. But from a coaching staff perspective, I would think so. Yes. And I might be wrong. No, Marva says she doesn't see the invite. Here we go. Marva and her email. Let me send it again, Marva. Let's see. I sent it to one, Marva. I think we had this problem before. Let me see. All right, I'm sending it to the second one, Marva. If she's watching, I think she is. Hi, Marva. Good morning. Peeps love you, Marva. Try that one, Marva. We'll see if she can pop on here. Which is more important, the coach hired or the portal in January? Coach hired. Because you have to have a coach and the evaluation going on. And I think that's a big part of it. And I think that's what Brent Pry failed at more than anything else was the evaluation of the portal. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. So that was just my prediction. Let me let Marvin know I sent it to both. I sent your invite to both emails just now. Okay. We'll see if she can pop on here. Ah, there she is, Miss America.
Oh.
How are you?
I'm okay. I was freaking out a little bit, but I'm all right.
It's Marvin Miami, ladies and gentlemen. Peeps love you, Marva.
Oh,
The consensus is in. They love
you. Mutual. I love you guys too.
As do I. As do I. I can't do that. Yeah, I can never do that.
Your hands are.
Yeah, what is that? That looks like
Your fingers aren't.
An octagon.
It's a heart.
I love you.
Oh my gosh! Please don't do that. It is too early. Do not do that.
All right. Well, we're talking about other stuff, but let's get right to it. I will say this. I thought your Heels played hard.
Yes.
Against Cal on the West Coast. I didn't expect that. They had the mistake early. They fell behind, but they gave themselves a chance to win. Now, is that progress?
I mean, I have to say it's progress, right? I have to say it. It makes me feel bad to say it, but yes, it was a better loss than Carolina's other loss. Okay?
It was.
At least Carolina did not get blown out. So, I mean, this game came on 10:30 on a Friday night.
Ooh, I know.
And it was rough. So I actually took a nap before the game.
Yeah.
I needed a nap to make it. So I took a nap and I set my clock to wake up right at 10:30. And of course, I always tape all the games anyway, but I got up because I knew the game doesn't actually start at 10:30. That's when the broadcast starts. Correct. So anyway, got up and I'm watching the game. And then on the first play, first Carolina possession, Carolina coughs up the ball and Cal scores. Okay. So I am not encouraged, but I keep watching. And I see Carolina come back and, not let this mistake derail the whole game. So I was, pleased with that. So I watched the first quarter. I watched the second quarter. And then I had this whole planned out. I was going to take a nap during halftime. I set my clock for like 20 minutes. So I took a nap during halftime. I get up and then I start watching the third quarter. And I don't know, maybe 5 minutes in the third quarter, I started feeling myself getting really sleepy. I knew I was taping this game. Also knew Carolina was down, but I still felt hopeful. So I said, you know what? I can't do this. I'm too tired. I went to bed. But as you know, I'm an early riser. So I got up at 5:30 or so when I got up and I watched it then. Okay. So, and I managed to avoid all news. I did not go on social media. I didn't do anything. I really just wanted to see it like I was watching it live. And that's when I saw Carolina had a chance. And I saw Carolina was down by 3. And the announcer goes, a field goal here would tie it. I'm like, that's not what we want. We don't want a field goal.
No, you don't want overtime on the road. No.
Yeah. So I was excited. I saw the young man is running down the field. He's got the ball, chance for Carolina to score a touchdown and win this thing. And then a Cal player comes and punches that ball out right before he crosses the goal line. And I was just like, and then he lands on the ball too, and they get the ball back. And I'm just like, okay, this is going to be another loss. So meanwhile, while I was watching the game, because there was very little time left, and I knew Cal was going to try to hold as long as they could, and they did. Carolina did get the ball back, and then they were trying to do this crazy, hooks and ladder thing at the end. I was like, that's not going to work. That never worked. And I was like, okay, another loss, but Carolina found a new way to lose.
They did. They
didn't get blown out. It was 21-18. But yeah, it was sad. And I have friends texting me saying, "Hey, are you seeing?" This was the same night when Shohei Ohtani just went crazy, and everybody's like, "Are you watching him?" I'm like, "Well, no, I was kind of watching the Carolina game," and I was beginning to wonder, "Am I watching the wrong thing?"
Yeah.
I probably was, but I can't help myself.
I understand. It was progress. I'll give them that. I understand that Bill and Jordan had a great time in Napa Valley, so that's a plus. I think they're still out there.
I haven't seen any photos or videos this time, so please tell me they're not out there. Please tell me there's nothing crazy.
Yeah, I think they just had hung out there for a few days. He's got to come back, get ready for Virginia. Maybe you're catching Virginia at a good time. They didn't look good at all against Washington State.
But like they seem to take a lot of pleasure in beating Carolina. So I don't know. It's probably not going to be good, but I remain ever hopeful, Rick, because I have to. Right? I have to. And I
you have to
play better. But I will say that I don't feel like Gio Lopez played any better.
I was going to ask you, what did you think of Gio?
I didn't think he was doing a great job. And after the game, I went back to go check and see what his QBR was. Because I don't pay that much attention to that stuff, but it does matter. And it was like 60 something, if I remember correctly. And I was just like, I don't think he's the guy. And I think he holds the ball too long. And I think he doesn't look confident out there. He's not moving the ball down the field like I would like to see it. One thing that I did see that was encouraging, it seemed like Carolina's running game was better. And that was nice. And, I was watching part of the game. My husband did watch part of it with me, and he's just like, this is crazy. I'm going to bed. Is that he was like, why don't they just hand the ball off? That seems to be working. Just hand the ball off.
Just hand the ball.
Yeah. So it was, it's just, it's a rough season. And, it's rough. I don't know what else to say. Like I said, a new way to lose. It was nice not to see the team get blown out. It wasn't like it was over after the, first or second quarter. It was not over.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? When they made that mistake and you're down 7-0, just immediately you could immediately go, here we go. It's going to snowball. But I don't think Cal's great. I think you guys stood up to him. They're not great, especially up front. So, but yeah. But hey,
it was quarterback looked good though.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty solid. That was your best Power 4 matchup, though. That's the best they've looked against any power team so far.
So I don't know what to do. But, there is hope. I still think I really wish that the Gio Lopez experiment would end, but I just don't. I don't know. The coaching staff seems very committed to this young man. So, I don't know.
How much money is he getting? We understand.
$3 million, but of course, I don't know if that's true or not. But
probably is.
I don't get it. I don't understand.
No, that's probably.
Hey, if they offered it to me, I would take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who wouldn't take it? I don't blame him for taking it. I don't quite understand why it was offered. Like, was there this big rush to get him? I just don't. I don't.
I don't know. Who knows? That when you bring in 70 like that, do you think about it this way? Do you wonder how involved Bill was in the 70? I don't mean that. I'm not trying to put him down. Coming from the NFL, he hired his staff, and he had. I wonder how many of these guys he actually.
Do that. I think he may have been, depending on.
You think?
And I don't see anybody. Like I said, I don't see anybody that's like, wow. Sometimes a team gets a player, and you're like, oh my goodness, that's gonna shoot them right up. I don't see that, and I don't really know what the thought process was going into bringing these guys in. I still think Carolina's defense still looks a little slow, and again, I don't know.
They tackled better though.
Yes, they did.
They tackled better. Yeah,
and they seemed like they were energized. I guess maybe energized isn't the right word, but what I mean is sometimes when you get down by so much, you feel defeated. That's just, human nature. And you see people that might be, I don't want to say they're taking plays off, but they just feel like they know the outcome already, right? They're going to lose. And it's just like, okay, here we go again. But they did seem energized. They
did.
And so that is encouraging because you always want to see that. It seems like they were not adversely affected by everything that was going on in the news. About, does Belichick really want to be there? This, that, and the other, all kinds of problems in the locker room that were being reported on. And maybe they were taking the idea of, hey, it's us against the world. And I you just hate to see that, cough up the ball on the first play of the game, and then they
Very first play. Oh, it's on the ground.
you
Oh,
don't
turnover.
see that, you don't like to see that. And um, the young man that had a chance to, win this game or had the winning score for Carolina. Like, I don't feel like he was doing anything wrong. He wasn't like he was showboating or anything, and then the ball was knocked out. It's just you're trying to make a play, the other team's trying to make a play too, and they came out on top. So,
all that being said, I get the feeling they're going to play well Saturday. Like, for some reason, I got this. I think Virginia's going to have to play really well to beat Carolina at home on Saturday.
But I just feel like they are going to play really well.
They might. They need to bounce back. They need to bounce back like Georgia Tech did. Georgia Tech was kind of, after they had that Wake Forest near miss where they should have lost because the offside call, they handled Tech and they had a huge win on the road. We'll see if Virginia can get through their hiccup, which was Washington State, and now can they get it back? It'll be interesting. It's going to be an interesting game to watch on Saturday.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've already talked about this a lot, but we saw Miami go down.
Yeah,
and what can
wow!
I mean, in a big way.
Carson Beck
had 4 interceptions because he's been looking really good up to that point. And I don't know, if they just had his number, he was having an off night, maybe both things. I don't know, but it was just not good. Especially everybody down here was thinking, national championship. They always think that's.
Jeff Brom is an outstanding coach. Jeff Brom is a much better coach than Mario Cristobal, and he is just. That guy's good. He didn't get enough credit. I put a post up on the Facebook page. People need to recognize Jeff Brom is one hell of a football coach.
Mm-hmm.
He really is.
And, I think, of course, they can get back into their winning ways. But it just kind of brought them down because they were riding so high. I mean, they were just
I know.
And they become insufferable, but whatever. I mean, I live down here.
But then they look up and they're down 14-0 right out of the chute. Like, wow, number 2 in the country? I think not.
I mean, who knows? I mean, the polls are so all over the place. I mean, who knows?
I know.
Who's really good? And I guess we just have to have a few more weeks, see what's coming up. I don't know. I mean, I still hope, as far as Carolina goes, that Carolina can turn things around. But if you look at the schedule, I don't know because, like I said, Virginia, it seems to take great pleasure in beating Carolina. And I remember still what happened like last season. It was very ugly. So I'll be watching.
You'll be watching.
I'll be watching. I'll be taping, watching very carefully, but and hoping for the best. I mean, if Carolina were to beat them, you may hear me up there in Southwest Virginia.
I know you will. I'll get I'll get a bunch of texts. I know that,
and not just from me, from other people.
Morris is saying that in a minute they want to trade you for the Dolphins for Mike McDaniel.
I don't know what's going on with the Dolphins. And one thing I'm sure you've been talking about, those comments that Tua made, and everybody's making. And I know they were ill-advised, yes. But it's not.
He's trying to lead. He's trying to be a leader.
I'm playing with a bunch of bums. Like, I don't see why this has been in the news for over a week. They're asking about, what do you think about what Tua said? And if you go back and listen to what he said, it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad.
And why are people just like,
I don't know.
We see coaches getting fired all over the place. And Mike McDaniel's skating along.
He's terrible. He's terrible.
I don't get him really. Like,
he's terrible.
He's very laid back, which everybody has their own style, and we've seen coaches win with that kind of laid back style. But it's just not good.
Wayne's got a question for you, Marva.
Yes.
He says, "Do you think, Marva, this time next year, UNC, may have 2 new coaches, one for football, one for basketball? What do you think?"
No, I don't. I'm so excited about basketball season. I've been trying to hold this in because I it's not basketball season.
I get to see him. We come down there. You gonna be down there? We're gonna get you down to the.
We talked about this in the middle of the week, isn't it? It's like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
But I think this is the year Carolina pulls this together and that they live up to expectations. I really do think it's going to be a very good year. So I don't think you'll see any changes on the basketball side. As far as football goes, I really feel like, despite all these rumors we've heard, I really feel like Belichick wants to do this, because if he doesn't do this, he doesn't turn this situation around, it's such just a really bad way to end your career, right? it's a bad way. Like, I think he wants to say, I came in here, there's a bad situation, I turned it around, look what I did. And I think that desire with him inside him is very strong, and I don't think you will see a change. I think he'll be back. I don't know about Jordan. Jordan may not be back.
He could survive that, because you think about it, what I deem as the greatest coach of my generation, Bill Walsh, he failed when he went back to Stanford. People don't remember that, but it's all the drama that's attached to him and Jordan.
Yeah, I think it's just, though, like, there's a sense of pride within him that he wants to do this, because people are saying, especially with so many people saying, oh, he didn't do anything in New England. That was all Tom Brady. Yeah, he didn't do anything.
They might be right. I think that and cheating. Tom Brady and cheating. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Morris says, I guarantee Marvin would look better in capris than Mike McDaniel.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, a grown man.
I know.
I don't even know if you are over the age of.
I don't get that.
8. I don't think you should be. And you're a man, I don't think you should be wearing capris.
How does the team look at him? How do those players look at Mike McDaniel and say, "Yeah, I'm running through a wall for that guy. Look at his capris. Ankles are looking good today, Mike. Let's go beat the Steelers."
What's up with him? Like, I just feel like maybe for this team, he's a little bit too laid back, and this team might need someone that's a little more in your face.
Yeah, he's got to go.
You have to kind of figure out what people need, and I don't know how he is, holding on. And things for the Dolphins just seem to be going from bad to worse. I mean, obviously losing Tyreek Hill was a big blow, and I don't know. Like, I don't hear people talking about the Dolphins so much, and of course, I live down here.
No.
But people aren't talking about the Dolphins that much. I mean, everybody was excited about the U, and the Dolphins just seem to be an afterthought. And I'm sure plenty of good seats are available for every game. Maybe I should look and see if my family can get in and go to a game if they're playing someone good that I would like to see. Not the Dolphins, of course. They've lost my daughter, Rick. She used to be a big Dolphins fan.
I know.
And she was like, that was her team. And now I'm like, what's going on with your team? And she's like, oh, that's not my team. I'm like, well, what is your team?
What are you talking about, Mom? Mom, what?
Yeah, what are you talking about? She's in 6th grade now. She's like, I said, I want you to get you a Dolphins shirt or jersey or something. And she's like, no, that's not my. Like, she's forgotten how when she was young, she was so excited about Dolphins.
And now, nothing.
Yeah.
Well, we shall see. I'll get a chance, like I said, to see your Tar Heels hoopsters. So we'll find out. We'll find out what's going on. So,
and I mean, I have a lot of respect for that Radford program. And I remember when Carolina played Radford, and it was, it was respectable. Of course, Carolina.
First half. We were right there in the first half.
I really hope that it's not like that this time. Because I'm sorry. I know all respect.
I don't think it will be.
I think I want them to learn how to stomp someone, because this goes back even to Roy. The team didn't seem to have the killer instinct. Like, when you're up by 10, you want to be up by 20. You're up by 20, you want to be up by 30. They just didn't seem to have that. And I really want to see that this year. And I think we might see it. So it may be bad. And if it's bad, I will enjoy that. But I will be going for Radford the Highlanders the rest of the season. Okay?
No, I appreciate that, Mark. I appreciate
that. Yes.
All right. Well, you and have a great rest of the week. You and the youngins and the hubby. I know he's happy. His Cowboys got a big win against the rival.
Commanders,
yeah. So
he's very happy.
Hey, happy hubby, happy life.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way that goes.
That's right. Isn't that right? Yeah.
But when the Cowboys win, though, things are much more harmonious around here.
Of course, yeah. He's just
yeah.
Every night you get dinner was great again. Thank you so much, honey.
Yes,
Thank you.
He's so happy. He's so happy with everything. The kids, it doesn't matter what they're doing. He's happy.
We have a great life. And then the next week they play the Eagles and lose by 4 touchdowns. This house is filthy.
I hope it's not 4 touchdowns. My goodness. I hope, for his sake, I hope it is close, but I don't think it's going to be.
I get it. All right. Well, great stuff as always. Let me know if they swap you out down in Miami, you McDaniel. So
I can walk on the sidelines in capris. Yeah.
I think you'd look great. Yeah.
I mean, I would even have more respect than to do that. Come on.
You could stare down at a chart the whole time like he does. Yeah. Lord have mercy. Anyway.
Yes. He's a mess.
Yeah, he's a mess. All right. You be good, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Okay.
Good luck this weekend. We'll see how they do against the Who's.
Thanks.
All right. Be good. It's Marvin, Miami. Bye, Marvin, Miami. There she is. We love Marvin, Miami. When he says Rick thinks the downfall of the Dolphins was the jerseys. Correct. That and the helmet logo. Why did they mess with the Dolphins helmet logo? I would remind you, Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce Day is coming up Saturday, November 1st at Layton Stadium against Louisville. Just $25 plus fees. We're going to try to have Steve Bafuto on. Steve was going to join us today, but could not. So maybe we can get him on later in the week. Very honored and proud to be asked to be part of the Montgomery County Chamber here on BDST. We're an enterprise. Big Dog Sports Talk and the NRV Super Bowl. Partnering up 25 years. This Halloween, they're going to have boogie bowling from 9 to 11. Go. $40 per lane. Take 7 of your buds, pay $5, bowl, drink lots of beverages, and have a great time. 382-5525. And since 1997, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply has been the place to go for manufactured home parts such as windows, doors, plumbing supplies, plus installation. 300 North Franklin Street. Go give James a call, 540-381-8011. Yeah. Hey, Reggie, how are you? By the way, haven't seen Reggie in a while. Good to see Reggie chime in. I'm going to tell you something I read about Bill. Bill O'Brien's going to get fired off to college. Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios here in Reiner. They have free quotes, 540-200-8294. Visit them, familyfencingnrv.com. They're going to work on your fences during the cold weather. They're not just stopping with their service, by the way. We're going to tell you more about that. Yeah, they're not just going to say, "Oh, it's cold. We can't come take care of what you want." No. They're gonna work through all. He'll talk about that. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic. I mentioned in the open how great was it. Mark yesterday got a visit from Travis Williams, Professional Door Incorporated. He went over. He's had some issues, right? So he goes to see Mark, and now he got his consultation. He's going back next week, and that'll be great. 38 years in business, right across from Newburgh Community College. Garage doors better than anybody. I know I've had 2 or 3 people say, "I got to give Travis a call." Yeah. Go give him a call. Don't mess with anybody else. They got hired for the national Walmart account, for God's sakes. Just do the right thing. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner BDST, my exclusive banking partner for the last 35 years. Thanks, Lara Ramsey. Man, she's going to be a great president. 701 West Main Street. That's where you find the attorney Ryan Pry for all your trust and estate planning issues. BDST fan question of the week. Right now, 63% of the over 40 responses, now 45-ish, say no to Shane Beamer being the next head coach in Blacksburg. Some sense has found itself. Charles Lee, Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Raptor Street, 553-2971. It's cold most nights, mornings now. Get your heat checked. Even if you don't need new ones, get them checked. I mentioned earlier, Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. What they're doing is about to just come to an absolute peak here coming up in the spring when they get that complex completed. The Superplex is going to be outstanding. I'm honored, and I mean that, honored that the place I grew up is the presenting sponsor of this program. Great stuff. And go get your next vehicle at Harvey's GM in Radford. Go see Brad Harvey. You don't get all that stuff that you go to many other places. You'll never feel, this is the best compliment I can give Harvey's. You never feel like you're shopping for a vehicle. You never feel like you're at a used car lot or that, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense when you're with Brad Harvey? You never feel like, oh, I got to go try to find a car. Here we go. Here comes all the pressure. No, they're not like that. It's great. It's great. But if you need something, you should just give them a call. T-shirts. I will find out this week. Soon, Hokey Bob. Soon. Because I know that Brandon is working hard at Chop Shelf. There you go. There's a reminder of what they look like. They're being produced now, is what I was told. So I will find out. I will update you. And many of you continue to ask on a daily basis, which is awesome. Absolutely, Wayne. Let's run through the UVA schedule here. Sorry, I keep going back and watching the Broncos comeback on Sunday that I still don't believe actually happened, but somehow it did. UVA. All right. So Carolina, they're 10.5-point favorites, by the way. Tech's still 4.5-point favorites over Cal. So what they have left, they have Carolina, then they have to make that trip to Berkeley. So California gets two teams back-to-back in the Commonwealth. They travel to Blacksburg, then they go back home for Virginia. They host Wake. They go to Duke on November 15th, and then, of course, they finish with Tech in Charlottesville on the 29th. They opened up with Coastal. They won that one. They blew the NC State game. Remember, that was a non-conference game. They beat up on William & Mary. They crushed Stanford. The thing that propelled them into the limelight was the 2 overtime win over Florida State. That sent them in a positive flow, and that sent Florida State reeling. Then they go to Louisville, and it is by far now what we know about Florida State. The win at Louisville in overtime is by far their most impressive win, because we watched Louisville go toe-to-toe and just beat up on Miami. And then they came back after that big win and really struggled against Washington State and got outplayed for about 3.5 quarters. Found a way, though. Found a way. So that's your review of the UVA schedule, Wayne. We are, Jason. We're going live this weekend. It's happening. Thank you for reminding me. Saturday, we're doing the deed. We're going live. Tech games on Friday. I think Tech fan will be in a good mood. And then we'll just have general stuff we can talk about. We will talk about things that I necessarily don't talk about here during the regular program. But what I'm going to try to do, if you want to participate and you want to be on screen, I'll have to have a sentence that says, and you can send it to me on the text line, right? So I'll have it. And that's where you send me the information with your email. I'm not allowed to put you're not supposed to put emails up on a public, so don't put it in chat. You'll have to send it to me on the text line. And then I'll need just a sentence where you say, I give you permission to put my face up on your screen. I know. But I will send you an invite like I do all of our other guests. We can get up to 6 people on this screen right here. Absolutely, Morris. You said it better than I could. This is true about the Harveys. And Mr. Harvey, God rest his soul, got it standard. And Brad and everybody down there, George Jr., the Harveys are the epitome of the golden rule. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. I'm telling you. If you didn't see all the vehicles, the outstanding array of vehicles they have, if you didn't see all the vehicles when you went there, you wouldn't think you were at a car dealership. That's how good they are. Rick After Dark, maybe. There will be beverages. So what we're going to do is Saturday evening, I will try to put up on the Facebook page the exact time. Right now, I'm thinking around the 6 o'clock range. I work during the day. I have an ESPN soccer broadcast. That runs from 2 to 4. And I have to get home, settle in. I'll probably go ahead and eat a little something. So I'm thinking around 6-ish, we'll have the conclusion of the second tier games, right? The afternoon games, heading into the evening games. And then we'll just let the thing go for as long as we want to. But that's going to happen on Saturday. Yes, the 25th, Jason. That's going to happen. But let me know ahead of time. If you would, though, don't start sending me your emails until Friday so I can write them all down and make sure I get everybody right. And then what we'll do, we'll still have chat open so people who aren't on screen can contribute, because I want as many people in here to have fun and just talk to all of y'all. And then what we'll do, if you really want to be on screen, and we'll just alternate people. I can take people off, and then I can put people on, and we'll do it that way. But that's what we're going to do Saturday. It'll be my last Saturday off until March. which is a depressing thing, but that's true. So that's what we're going to do to celebrate. All right. So yes, that is coming up. Morris says, I'll join Saturday. Unfortunately, you will see Palm Coast live in beautiful weather. Yeah. Well, yeah. Morris, do me a favor. Get down there with your Mai Tais, and I want you to kind of be sitting with your back toward the beach and the sunset. Just rub it all in. Dinner with Big Dog? We know it will involve fine, very well-prepared meats. Yes. Yes. But that's Saturday evening. So, yeah. Anyway, we'll get more into that. Coming up, Mike Burnham at 8 o'clock. Joining us now on the program from the Boundary Corner podcast. There's his lovely face. Brian Siegler joining us. What is up, Brian?
How are you doing this morning?
Good to see you, man. How are you?
Good to see you. Hey, it sounds like you got some big plans for Saturday night.
Yeah, we're going to have fun. Hey, if you want to jump on, let me know, man. We can promote. We'll do whatever. I mean,
hey,
Dwight, I think, is going to jump on. So, yeah.
There we go. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, anybody's welcome. Well, wow. So no game, but a lot of things going on. And I did this yesterday, and I want to just get right to it. Of course, during the show, we had Filmation and Todd Grantham on. But shortly after, I started getting information. And I made a prediction on my Facebook page, the BDST Facebook page, that I believe if things were to end right now, that James Franklin will be the new head coach at Virginia Tech. Your thoughts?
I could live with that. I could absolutely live with that. I feel like that is probably, considering the number of openings that we're looking at this cycle and the way the dominoes are kind of falling, that's probably a best case scenario for us because, I don't think that we want to go down the Shane Beamer path because I feel like that's kind of more of the same. It's going back into the well. It's looking backwards a little bit too much. He's not, I know the SEC isn't the ACC, but the wheels are starting to fall off this season for him. It looks like maybe losing the locker room a little bit, getting a little chippy in the post-game press conference. I'm not sure if that's the type of mentality that we want to bring in coming off the season that we're having, coming off the prior regime there. I think James Franklin would be a good, steady handle the ship. The only thing that you got to, the question that comes to mind for me is that it's interesting going from a guy that was coaching under this guy who was by all intents and purposes his right-hand man, and now you're going with the mentor. Coming off a rough season at Penn State, but overall a somewhat successful tenure overall there in Happy Valley. So I wouldn't have a problem with it. I know there's some people that's like, well, he can't win the big game. He can't win the big game. I just want to win the games we should win right now.
Yeah, that's a great point.
We can figure out big games down the road.
Let big games happen first, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Let's get to the big games first. We got to go ahead. We got to be able to beat ODU every year. We got to be able to beat Rutgers when they come to Blacksburg. We've got to do the little things right, and we haven't been doing that.
Well, and again, I'm not saying that it's going to happen in terms of like, that I have hey, it's imminent, but that was just my prediction based on what I heard from two different sources. So we'll see. But in any event, I know that the committee's working hard, and I know that people don't want to hear all that because of everything going on. They're still very angry about Witt still hanging out over there, and I get it. I understand. But it is something, too, if you have somebody who really wants this job because it's this job as opposed to, other things involved. I think that Tech needs somebody to want to be here in Blacksburg for all the right reasons.
Yeah, and I think they need somebody that knows how to do both aspects of coaching. So I feel like between Fuente and Pry, we had kind of one coach between them. I think Fuente knew the X's and O's. He knew what coaching was, but he didn't really do all the other things that a head coach needs to do well. And I feel like Pry was just the opposite.
That's a great point. Yeah,
Pry was great from December to August, and then those 3 months during the season, 3 or 4 months during the season, it wasn't the greatest output. It was very inconsistent, and a lot of times it felt like winning in spite of the coaching. So if we can get a guy that's at least respectable in both of those categories and maybe elite in one of them, I will take that all day.
How much pressure do you think? I wanted to ask you this last week and I didn't. Brian, do you think Tech's put on themselves because of they know they've angered people with Witt still being there. They know donors are angry. They know fans do not want that. How much pressure do you think they feel like they have to have now a name to help offset that, to get more people excited? Oh, you bring in James Franklin. Well, here, we're going to go back and let's help this guy out. Let's get it going, right? I wonder, and again, it's all speculation because that's all we have because they've gone quiet with the NBA. We don't know. But maybe they're saying, all right, because of that decision, we have to kind of think of it a little differently. I don't know.
Well, I think they also put themselves in that situation by and large with the influx of money, because if you don't bring in someone that can get people to part with their money, to put money into this program, then increasing the budget's not going to matter, because most of that is coming from folks that are giving large sums of money for the football team to be successful. So if you're not getting someone that can fundraise, whether that's a Shane Beamer or a James Franklin, you've got to have somebody that has the ability to schmooze, for lack of a better word. And there's only so many of those guys out there that are known commodities.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
You know,
you're right.
Maybe you're talking about a James Franklin. Obviously, Shane Beamer would get people to part with their money. I think it would frustrate another portion of the fan base, but I think there would be a big portion of the fan base that would be willing to throw money at a Shane Beamer. So it's interesting. I definitely think with that move alone, you've kind of put yourself in a situation where you've got a smaller crop of candidates, because you've got to have somebody that can fundraise.
How much does it concern you, the ego? I mean, the guy loves him some James Franklin. We have already had that with Justin Fuente a little bit. I mean, you think he can relate? Let's say ultimately he is the hire. You think he's a guy that can kind of humble himself enough to fit in, if you will, to the culture around the New River Valley and Blacksburg? I mean, that's the one thing it's a fairly big red flag to me, is knowing that he kind of has himself in high regard.
He does. And the only thing that I'll say to that is that, you know, when you look at the communities, what they've got going up there in Happy Valley isn't a huge step from what's going on in Blacksburg. Obviously, you don't quite have the major metropolitan area within a short drive like you do in Happy Valley, but the community is similar size, similar mindset. So, I mean, I think he's kind of used to that type of mentality. I know, Pennsylvania and Virginia aren't the same when it comes to the mountain regions, but they have some similarities. So, I mean, I don't think that part is going to be a problem. I think more is he going to wear on the patience of the wrong people in a short period of time? But, when we talk about Shane as well, I mean, there's a degree of ego that comes attached with the Shane Beamer as well. So I'm really not, I don't think there's any of those two options. I don't think either are great from an ego standpoint, but I think they've certainly shown the ability to operate within different types of programs over the course of their career. With Franklin, in a full-on metro area like Nashville, and then going up to Happy Valley.
Yeah.
Obviously, Shane has had stops in various SEC and at the time Big 12 companies. So he's kind of seen different types of programs throughout his tenure as well. So I think they'll both be fine. I think it's more of, if it doesn't go well early, how quickly do the wheels fall off for a James Franklin?
That's a great point. Ryan Siegel joined us from the Boundary Corner podcast. Yeah, you're right. He would expect immediate wins. Does he come in and say it doesn't happen? And does he get impatient? You don't know. Of course, it's all speculation, but I think fans enjoy kind of thinking about all this stuff. If not those two guys, one of those two, is there anybody else that you feel like, have you heard anything? Or are you getting any kind of vibe about some others? I don't think Dan Mullen's going to be a realistic option. I think he was vetted and they didn't like some of the things that had showed up from what I was told. So what are you thinking? You think there's somebody else we're not thinking about yet that could be a name that starts to pick up steam?
I would have thrown Ryan Silverfield out there, but the UAB loss doesn't look great.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, you're right.
And I know the guy. So when I was at Hampton Sydney, he was a coach there on the squad, actually a player coach or a student coach. He had been there still working on his undergrad. So he was he's a guy that's known he's wanted to coach college football since he knew he wanted to do anything. So to me, he was a prime candidate. It really needs to be studied, the success rate of interim coaches on their first game after taking that role, because it almost feels like 9 times out of 10 when there's an interim coach in their first game, they're going to go out there and get a W. Now, wheels might fall off after that, but it seems like when that shift happens, there's something that happens in the locker room and they kind of muster up for a win. So, Ryan kind of ran into that down there at UAB, but I definitely would I would put him as my top candidate from the G5 pool. Outside of that, it's really hard to say. I think we definitely need to go the veteran route. I don't think we're going to look at a first-time head coach or a full-on retread that's been in a coordinator role for a while, like we did this last go-around. I definitely think it's going to be someone that's either coming off a head coaching gig or has only been removed from that for 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah, and I'm with you. It's amazing, but I think the shine kind of fell off of Silverfield. They were 22-point favorites. UAB had just replaced their coach. Chris Morton's son was the head coach at UAB in that game. The interim head coach, and they beat up on Memphis. So that's not maybe they were distracted because they understand that their coach was being, I don't know, but that was weird, especially coming off a bye for them to lose that game. So that wasn't good, not good for him at all. But we'll see. So what are you guys going to be debating this week? What are you guys going to be talking about? California's coming in. They didn't look great against Carolina. It feels like, that 4.5-point favorite is pretty solid right now. What do you think is going to happen on Friday?
We're going to talk about it a little bit tonight, but I feel like this is probably our last best opportunity for a win where you actually can feel confident about a game going into it. Obviously, I think, there's potential for us to surprise someone down the road, but is in terms of just being confident about going out there and maybe collecting a W. This is really the last game on the schedule. Cal's got a few players and then a bunch of other guys, and that's kind of what has played out, I think, for their season, is that when their best players are playing really good or they have a good matchup, then they do okay, and when they don't, they look pretty ugly. And I'm hoping that we've got enough still in the tank, especially on defense, where we've lost most of our talent with some of these shuffles in the portal after the coaching change. I'm hoping that we've got enough to kind of keep that quarterback in check, because that's really the only thing that worries me. I think big time. I think we'll be able to eventually establish a running game, put a few points on the board. It's really going to come down, can we stop them enough times to kind of carry out that W?
Well, I think it's going to be, I agree with you 100%. It feels like Cal coming across the country too. That's tough. It's tough for those teams, just like it's tough for the East Coast teams to go out there and try to play. It's tough. Yeah, people don't understand how tough that can be. I know it'll be a chartered flight and all, but I'm telling you, that's a lot. That's especially for a program like Cal that doesn't really love football like the folks in Blacksburg do.
Oh, so. Yeah, and you figure, like, for most of these teams, this flight is going to be twice as long as any other flight on their schedule in that year, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. Well, if you would, bro, let people know what's going on. You guys are going live tonight. Is that right?
Going live tonight, 9:00. See you there. We might be running a little light tonight. We got a couple folks that have some other commitments this week, but it'll at least be Curtis and myself. We're going to be live on X at Boundary Corner. Check us out on YouTube, and obviously you can find all of our stuff at boundarycornervt.com.
Well, you continue to do a great job, brother. It's always a lot of fun to watch you guys, and get after it tonight. And we'll talk to you again next week, and hopefully we'll be talking about a Tech win. I think we will.
Sounds good, Rick. I really appreciate you having me again.
All right, brother. Thanks, man. Take care of yourself. There you go.
See you later.
Ryan Siegel. Great stuff. Yeah, to his point, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think those of you who did not like my idea, well, it wasn't even an idea. I was just passing on information about Ryan Silverfield. I think you can rest easy now. That's one loss on a coach that's rising like that at a place like Memphis can hurt you a lot more. So that happened. California, I'm just looking here. Their best win was probably at home against Minnesota. They started out 3-0. They beat Oregon State, Texas Southern, Minnesota. They went to San Diego State. You look how a team does on the road. They got shut out 34-0. They did go to BC and beat Boston College. That's one time they've come east and won, so they handled that trip well. That was on the 27th of September. They hosted Duke and got absolutely throttled 45-21. And then, of course, they edged out Carolina on Saturday. So they have at least one time made the trip east and had success. So maybe that helps them a little bit. We'll see. Of course, BC is not necessarily an intimidating place to play on a Saturday. Such a massive sports town. And Reggie, you are right. Bill O'Brien was the first coach there right after the Sandusky situation. He only lasted, I think, 2 years there. And then more stuff started to come out. And then Franklin came in and did build on that. But you're right. Bill O'Brien deserves his flowers for the way he recruited. I think he had an 8-win season as well. So he's not going to keep his job at BC, though, man. They've lost. I didn't realize they've lost 6 in a row. I was just reading up on why he is considered I saw yesterday, he's like one of the top guys that might lose their job. They were 7-6 yet last year. They've lost 6 straight games this year. Wow. And the only team they've beaten is Fordham? Is that right? That's the only team Boston College has beaten is Fordham? I guess that's right. It's not good. So there's another job, but, that job that just feels like it's a nightmare job. Like BC, I can't imagine that they just think they're going to be able to go out and find anybody. Yeah, they got beat by UConn, which we said would happen this past Saturday. That was the job. That was the loss that put him on the – Clemson blew them out. Pitt blew them out. Mitch in California. They lost by 10 at Stanford. Michigan State, that was the game, right? They beat Fordham, then they lost that double overtime game to Michigan State, and they haven't been good since. They got Louisville, Notre Dame. There's 2 losses. They got SMU. There's 3 losses. Georgia Tech, 4 losses. I mean, you're looking at potentially 1-11 in Chestnut Hill because they end at Syracuse. That Mike Burnett, by the way, joins us at 8 o'clock. So, yeah, he's in some trouble. Hit us up on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line and the BDST Professional Door text line, 540-391-0788. But, so we're going to do that Saturday. That's going to happen Saturday. Matthew says, personality aside, I do think hiring Frankel would help to rip the Band-Aid off of the past for Tech fans. Yes. So here's the benefit right out of the chute if it is James Franklin. Hey, Chris, good morning. How are you, brother? The appearance of that, to your point, Matthew, is going to resonate. Now, this was a guy at Penn State. This is a guy who turned around Vanderbilt. This is a guy who's been a Power 5, Power 4 coach in one of the 2 power leagues that are running college sports. So the optics on how that will make Tech look would be outstanding. So to your point, yes. You're talking about a new era of understanding about all the past mistakes they've made under Whit Babcock since Frank Beamer left. That would feel like a complete departure from that mode of thinking and that mindset. And again, this isn't saying it's imminent. This is just me based on my prediction. So, no, Chris, not jumping on to James Franklin bandwagon in any way, shape, or form. Just felt good enough about what I'd heard yesterday morning to make that my prediction. I still don't think he should be the hire. I told you what I would do yesterday. I would just go poach the duo at James Madison and be done with it. But they're not in a position to do that. They're not in a position to do that. But to Matthew's point, yeah, the optics of it would make a lot of skeptical and upset Tech fans. That's what I'm saying. That's why I asked Brian that question. You know, you got a lot of people angry about Witt maintaining his presence over there. And they're, you know, people told us, we've heard from donors. I hear from them all the time. We're not going to give money because why are they doing that? Just break it. The guy failed twice. Why would you keep him? Well, you bring in somebody like that, it's going to maybe offset that. Does that make sense? So I'm wondering if that is part of the thought process. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here in the long haul. And again, keep an eye on the UCLA situation. It feels like they're going to want to move quickly. UCLA is likely not going to win another game. They've had a great rebound. They've won 3 games. They've been a story because they fired their coach, and they've had by far the most success of any school that has let their coach go early in the year. They've gone 3-0 with the interim coach who, you know, has a lot of respect. But they're going to need – you talk about a program that needs to make a good hire and a splash hire. Well, James Franklin seems like he's that guy. Out there. He feels like a West Coast guy. Hollywood, the glitz, ego. Yeah, I agree with Matthew's point. That's not helping Babcock's reputation. Yeah. Matt Roan is a rising star, and he's the AD at James Madison, and he's coming on tomorrow. There are things you would like to be able to ask, but I can't put him in a tough situation. But I'm just telling you this, the guy's going to go somewhere after James Madison when he feels like it's good for him and his family. His next stop will be at a power school, and then we just watch the trajectory of things that go on there. He's a rising superstar in the world of being an athletic director in the modern age of college athletics, which is not easy. But he embraces it. He understands it. There's no part of this that he doesn't grasp. And just look at the facilities, look at the money that's coming in. Now, he had a heck of a predecessor. Jeff Bourne was an outstanding athletic director. And he had a large say in the fact that Matt got that job, but he has just taken it, picked up the gauntlet, and run with it. And when you watch that team play and you watch everything they have, and I know people down there, and they're just amazed at the growth. I mean, you don't hear one negative about anything surrounding James Madison athletics. And in this day and age, that's not easy to pull off. So I know, and I think Chesney's a really good football coach. Because he had a guy who kind of overthought things with trying to run 2 quarterbacks. And I know Matt Roan didn't like it. I know people didn't like it. Didn't work. Kind of cost him the Louisville game. So what did he do? He stopped. We're done. You know, and to make that kind of adjustment, self-awareness, and say, yeah, that didn't work. Let's shuffle it the other way. It's impressive. Yeah, Jimmy, it feels like that's the kind of job. And somebody in chat earlier brought up the USC situation. Lincoln Riley has just been – remember how when they hired Lincoln Riley and they kept bragging about not only are we paying him $10 million a year, he has his own jet to go recruit. Well, how's that worked out for you? Now, California, the state of California is not a bastion of a lot of dedication to college football here in the modern age, but USC has been that program that has stood alone. UCLA is an absolute train wreck, terrible leadership there. People that run that school and run that athletic department, unfortunately, Martin Germain, he came from BC, has made nothing but bad hires. So I think if he wants to keep his job, he's going to have to make a splash hire. There's a lot of pressure on them to get a big name out there, a big name. That's why James Franklin makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. But UCLA football is irrelevant. Even though they're in the Big Ten, they're irrelevant. USC is always going to be relevant, right? So that's why the pressure for Lincoln Riley is real. So I think a lot of this, again, goes with things we don't ever hear about, and maybe deals are made verbally with agents way before announcements are made, firings and hirings. There's so much position right now. The agents are having a field day right now. Jimmy Sexton is loving this. He's absolutely loving this. Crazy. Good morning, Sherry. How are you? Nice to have the Peepettes. Always like having the Peepettes in chat. I also think Chesney played 2 quarterbacks in the beginning to keep Barnett healthy. Could be. He wanted to see how he came out, but I know he really wanted that to work. He was really counting on that to something he could go to. So you might be right. But he's adjusted. I don't know. Sometimes you can just watch guys on the sideline and you can kind of just feel they have things completely under control. You watch the way he carries himself, and you just go, that guy's going to be a Power 4 coach very soon. Just look at that guy. He's got all the criteria that Filmation talks about too. He did it at Holy Cross, and now he's doing it at keeping James Madison building forward. I have not heard it either. Mike Gundy's probably looked at as being too much of an X factor. Should have asked Grantham that yesterday. I think Todd's coming back on next week, so I'll ask him that question. But body language from a coach means everything. This is all I see when I watch a Dolphins game with Mike McDaniel. That's all I see. Not watching the game. I'll look up. Oh, where's the ball? Hang on, my ankle itches. My capris are exposing my ankle to the elements. What a terrible, terrible hire that was. Why? Any event. I don't think Gundy's going to be on any short lists. I don't know whether he wants to coach. He's an Oklahoma State guy. But who knows? Like I said, I've said this all along since this process got started. We don't know the motivations of these folks in any way, shape, or form. Like, we don't know what their mindset may be. Like, we didn't know really about James Franklin. It's easy to say, hey, I'm getting $50 million, man. I need to take a deep breath. So you would have understood if he'd just gotten into TV or said, I just need a couple of years, man, recharge. I'm going to be getting paid. There's always going to be a good job out there. But like I said, I was wrong because I felt like generally the one thing that felt sincere out of that interview was, well, the two things that came out were he didn't want to take any responsibility for what happened at Penn State, but he also really wants to coach again. I'm a man will haunt him forever. I've now, by the way, Signetti said that they're playing a 3-0 team. Who was he talking about? What do you mean? What do you mean, Paul? Jimmy, I'm thinking I'm going to say around 6 o'clock. Let's make it a date. Let's go with 6 o'clock, and we'll start the live chat. Fun time on Saturday evening. Let's go with 6 o'clock. Does that work for everybody? 6 o'clock. And I'll put a reminder up on the Facebook page and on X, and then it'll just, if you go to the channel, it'll be open. Then you just come in. Oh, okay. The UCLA game, yeah. Yeah, they're not going to have any problem with UCLA. But that's the way he looks at it. And I watch his pressers now every week, because the guy, after he last week ripped apart the networks, somebody asked him about the extension, and he goes, well, yeah, I mean, I was sitting around and I was watching tape. Said I was, very concerned about some of the matchups, things we were going to run into potentially. So I was watching a lot of tape, and his AD came in and said, Coach, you got 5 seconds here? Oh, sure, yeah. For you, yeah. Laid out what they were thinking about doing, about extending him for the next 8 years, and what the kind of money would look at. And he says he has the film paused the whole time. And he goes, I'd like to reach out to your representative and see if we can get this done. And Signetti just looked at the reporter and said, so I said, that would be awesome. Yes, let's do that. So he went out, the AD went out, talked to Signetti's agent and lawyer, and he goes, and we had the thing done in like 20 hours later. And then he goes, after the conversation with AD, turn the film back on. That is a healthy athletic department. That is an AD that knew what he wanted. He had the backing to go get what he wanted. There had already been discussions. We're going to lose this guy. You realize we're going to lose Curt Cignetti, right? You realize that everybody who has an opening is coming after our coach. You do realize that. It didn't take much convincing, apparently, because they went and they locked him up long term. And then they went out and just full throttle destroyed Michigan State. They are 25.5-point favorites over UCLA coming into Bloomington. I mean, is Indiana going to go undefeated? UCLA, Maryland, they go to Penn State, they host Wisconsin, and then they go to Purdue. My guess is yes. My goodness, what a job. Can you overstate the job, what he's done? Curt Cignetti. I saw yesterday a graphic. He's now 100 games over 500 as a head coach already. Let me look this up here. It was an amazing stat. He's too old, I was told. He's 137-17. I'm sorry. 137-37. He's 100 games over 500. He's never had a losing season. His teams have made 9 postseason appearances. And, of course, last year, the first time ever, Indiana has reached the college playoff. He's 17-2 at Indiana. By the way, he's the only Division I coach to start consecutive seasons 10-0 at different schools. He did that at James Madison in 2023 and Indiana in 2024. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The best coach in college football is Curt Cignetti. And if you don't like it, I will fight you. Tell me I'm wrong. Wow. And he's sitting there with his glasses down. Yeah, he came in and said they wanted to give me a new extension. I was watching film. And I said, yeah, that would be great. That would be great. Yeah, go talk to my people and let me know. He said, let me know. 20 hours later. Ding, 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 ding. $93 million, every cent of it guaranteed. Guy in his early 60s is the best coach in college football. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Morris says, we will only have a small amount of sunset at 6 here in the Palm Coast, but heck, a little dab will do you. Should I adjust it to 5:30 just so we have more sunshine? I think 6 is a good starting point. It gives me time to get home and kind of figure things out here. Mike Burnup will join us here. His appearance brought to you by Louise Baker. Hang on, I got to go take care of an animal. I'll be right back. I know. This is part of the beauty, though, of having a live show here. You're downstairs. Come on, buddy. Yeah, I know. All right, there we go. You know how it is. You got to take care of your critters. The little guy's been out there in sub 40-degree temperatures, protecting the yard, out there on safari. Time for him to come in, relax, get a little nap. So Mike Burnup will be here. We'll talk about the Cal game, talk about hoops a little bit, and we'll, see if we can maybe find out anything at all about what's going on with the coaching search. By the way, please like and subscribe to the channel, please. We're at we're well over 600 now. We're at 607, I think, subscribers, on our way to 1,000, which gives me a 3-year license here on YouTube. Hokey Bob, I could have had the contract done in 5 minutes. Hey, Coach, just sign and fill in the blanks. Just whatever numbers you want. I mean, and, there are a lot of people, when I put that up after it happened, the graphic, there were a lot of people on Facebook saying, yeah, they do all this, and they're just going to fire him in 2 years when he has a bad season. We're talking about Indiana football. They had not had any good seasons. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Relevant seasons. They're not just going to say, oh, Curt Cignetti, we only won 7 or 8 games. You're out of here. No, it's Indiana. They're in the national playoff. They're going to be back this year. (137-37) as a head football coach. The only coach to ever have 10 back-to-back 10-win seasons at 2 different schools. He's the best coach in America. Everybody's going to say, what about Kirby Smart? Well, look at all the resources Kirby Smart has as opposed to Indiana. Curt Cignetti's created resources at Indiana. Kirby Smart didn't have to do that. Brian, thank you very much for being a premium member, by the way. If you ever want to help out and become a premium member, you can do it for a couple dollars. That'd be great. Whoever comes in has got to keep JC. Yeah, I love JC. I'm telling you, you got to have somebody there, right? Not only is he a great coach, but his buddy is Chris Stone. Smokes all the meat for their functions, and he's damn good. All right, good. That would seal it for me if I were a James Franklin coming in. That's all I'd need to hear, Brian. Oh, your best guy does all the meat? Yeah, Coach. Welcome back to Blacksburg. That'd be great, man. It'd be great. It's good stuff. Really? That's nice. Very nice. I mean, it's a perk. That's a huge perk. Morris says, Hokey Bob, you need to become an agent. Brilliant. I just like, when you watch his pressers, how matter of fact he was about it. He didn't want to focus on it. He started talking about UCLA, like Paul talked about. He went right into UCLA. Like, there's not one thought in a guy like Cignetti that looks at UCLA. He knows they're much better. He knows they're at home. He knows they're an upstart team. They've been energized with the coaching switch. But he's not going into that in any way, shape, or form thinking, this is a gimme, we're going to win, blah, 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 blah. He knows he's got to have that football team ready. And, that's why he's so good. They're not going to approach the UCLA game any differently than they would approach a game against Ohio State or Michigan. And I think that's where you've got your guy. And I know that he may not be the warmest guy in the world, but do you care at that point? I mean, he's keeping the alumni happy. The players really love playing for him. They did down in Harrisonburg as well. You're right, Paul. They did not have a mass exodus of players. They did lose a couple recruits, but whatever, But they did not lose a lot of guys. That's true. Very, very true. But we'll see. We'll see. But I thought that was very interesting just watching his press conference. It's now entertaining for me to find the Cignetti presser every week. He's just so, this is who I am and this is what I say, and you know what? This is what I'm doing. But those numbers should tell you all you need to know. 137-37. And he's got Indiana undefeated. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. All right. Also, always incredible. Joining us now on the program, 43 years in the biz. There he is. He is Mike Burnup joining us. Mike, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Rick. How are you? I'm doing fine.
I'm always better when I get to talk to you, my friend. Always.
Hey,
always.
Almost hoop season too, isn't it?
It is, man. We're there 2 weeks away or so, and think people fired up about Tech. I don't care what the stupid ACC media poll said. I mean, you said it a lot, right? Mike Young looks at you and goes, we're going to be pretty good. Better watch out. They're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, they got their first exhibition game on Saturday playing Duquesne at 1 o'clock. It's an exhibition game. So they had all these people in town after the Cal game Friday night.
Cool.
And, so they're going to have an exhibition game at 1 o'clock Saturday. And then Saturday night, they're going to have the basketball tip-off banquet with the 1995 NIT team there.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
They're honor them with Ace Custis and David Jackson. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
That's so
Good
cool.
weekend.
Yeah, that's a great weekend. Wow. Well, what a way to kick off, tip off the season, I should say. And of course, we thank Louise Baker, the Louise Baker team, Long and Foster Realtors, for Mike Burnup's appearance here. Bye week. First of all, how are you? Did you get your batteries rejuvenated a little bit? Having a game?
Yeah, I did. Had a good time. Got a few days off and chilled out a little bit, and went to see a teammate of mine Saturday, I guess, up in Orange, Virginia. Had his 50th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Went to his wedding, and then they had a big party for number 50 and had a bunch of family up there. So that was a blast. And then, watched a lot of football, and it was kind of fun having that midweek break. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. And then you had a chance to scout Cal, right? You could just kind of watch them a little bit, get ready for them. What were your thoughts on the Bears against North Carolina?
Well, I don't know. North Carolina is very good, right?
Yeah.
I was a little surprised, but they are sitting there at 5-2. They got a good team. I really like their quarterback. It's a hard name to pronounce. Sangapulatelli, I think it is.
Yes.
Sangapulatelli. He's really good. He throws the ball a lot. I mean, they're gonna put the ball in the air against the Hokies Friday night. So that should get some opportunities to maybe get some interceptions. The Hokies have only had 3 interceptions all year. They got to create some turnovers if they're going to win this game. And so that's one thing. And the receiver DeJesus, he's really good. Running game's not bad, although they're dead last in the ACC in rushing.
Yeah.
And so, I think you got to put that to your advantage. So Sam Cephas has got to come up with some good stuff there to just try to confuse him. And he's not a big runner, the quarterback, but he's a big kid. He's 6'3", 225, Rick. So he can make stuff happen. But I think, the Hokies at home on a Friday night, I mean, I like their chances. I know they're not favored, but that's just the way it is with the season, the way it's gone. But we'll see. I think they'll come out and play hard. I think they're rejuvenated a little bit. Had some time off. Coach gave them off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think. And so that was nice for the kids, too, to try to get back and get healthy.
And I was going to ask you about that health. I mean, are you hearing good stuff about guys who are kind of, unable to go, especially on the offensive line? I know they've been so depleted across the offensive front.
They have, yeah. They're getting better. And, we'll get the update today from the press conference at noon and see what's up and, who might be available. But, yeah, I think some of those guys did get healthy. And Terrion Stewart, he played against Georgia Tech, and he should be back 100%, I would think. And just hopefully they'll be ready to go. And some of those defensive backs too, man, they've been banged up on that side of the ball at linebacker as well. Hopefully they'll be ready to go too, because they're going to need all those guys on defense, because Cal can they can move the ball up and down the field, that's for sure.
Well, and the one thing too, Mike, is that now they had that week off. It's like Coach Montgomery can finally take a deep breath a little bit and not have to feel so like, oh my goodness, we got to go in so many different directions. We got to keep going here after what had happened. Now they could kind of, all right, we got a little time now, guys. Let's work on certain things. I mean, I don't think the bye could have come at a better time for them, to be honest.
Well, the better time would have been way back, right?
Well, you're right. Yeah, ideally 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Now you're going to play 2 games, get another bye. So, that's the way it is, the way the schedule worked out. But, yeah, I mean, it did come at a good time. They can kind of recharge their batteries and kind of get their legs back underneath them a little bit. Coach Montgomery can exhale, as some of the players as well. And so, yeah, I think it was good just to get away from it for a while and try to recharge your batteries. And, for Cal, they had a couple home games. Now they got to travel across the East Coast all the way back here, 2,700 miles, whatever it is, for the second time, because they played BC. And you have to hope that you can take advantage of that a little bit. And maybe they'll be a little sluggish, especially with the atmosphere on a Friday night, just like the old Thursday night games used to be. We'll see what happens.
Mike Burnett joining us on the program. Once again, his appearance brought to you by Louise Baker, the Louise Baker team, Long and Foster Realtors, 540-320-0382, nrvhomes.com. You've done this now in the booth for 43 years. You've been around college football your whole life, Mike. I mean, have you ever seen what we're seeing in terms of the coaching? They fall one by one every week, don't they? Is this just bizarre? Is this because the portal era has made this more, I guess, acceptable? I mean, have you ever seen anything like this? It's going to happen every weekend.
Nah, it's shocking to what's going on out there now, and it's only going to probably get worse when you think about it. I mean, I was surprised Luke Fickell didn't was able to stay on in Wisconsin this week after getting shut out. The speculation is that Kiffin may go to Florida, so that could open up Ole Miss. I mean, there's a lot of good coaches out there and a lot of good jobs. And the issue, Rick, is that you wonder, like, okay, well, where now in the pecking order is Virginia Tech? When you got the Penn State, you got all these other jobs that are open up, and you're wondering, like, if Ole Miss comes open, Florida's a good job. You just wonder how it's going to unfold. And these coaches, they're good coaches. Are they going to work the system like Signetti did to get a big raise? Because most of those guys are handled by one agent, right, or one firm, Jimmy Sexton. So
right.
A lot of guys are going to get rich off this thing and might show a little interest, but they're going to just bang out a new contract with a big raise like Signetti did. And so you wonder how many coaches are going to be available. You wonder, what the pecking order is for Virginia Tech now, even though they got a lot of money to pay. And so that pool is out there is like, it's a big pool. But you wonder, is that going to hurt you in the long run because there's so many jobs open and there are more going to come open? So, you just never know what's going to happen. It's just this crazy time.
It feels like the Auburn job might open. That seems that's a coveted job. Florida State, same thing with Wisconsin yesterday. Sure. Just a little strange. No, we're not going to do anything now. We're going to reassess things day one after the final game, maybe the first hour. So you can't feel good about things if you're Mike Norvell. I mean, those programs are probably going to have openings, but it's just going to be crazy. I mean, of course, everybody is gone mum at Virginia Tech, and I get it, and I understand it. I mean, I'm one of the few, I guess, people where I'm like, I get that. I don't think you want any cross-messaging out there. But Bruce Arians better than anybody. You know how hard he's working with the committee now to make sure they vet as many people as possible.
Yeah, that's true, and they're doing a good job. They've been meeting. And, you can't say but so much. But, yeah, they've been meeting and talking about it. And there's a lot of great candidates out there. They're vetting them and doing their process. And, the other thing I think makes it so crazy, Rick, is that when you think about the recruiting day, signing days in December, right? So you almost have to have a coach in place by then. And then, the portal opens up right after 1st of January. So it's like, okay, you got to get that roster fixed quick. And I think that could be part of the reason why some of these places are just trying to move quickly so that they can get a coach in place, before recruiting ends and before the portal starts. Because if you don't, man, you're going to be lagging behind, and that pool of players out there is going to get shrinking fast. And, there's a lot of good players that are going to be out there too, just like at Penn State. When you think
That's
about
right.
the kid at North Cross, he decommitted, that a 4-star kid from down there. I think they lost a good running back. Virginia Tech had some decommits. All these places that have coaching changes are going to have decommits.
That's right.
And so there's a lot of players that are going to be out there too. But you got to have somebody in place that can go out there on that recruiting trail and try to keep some of these kids committed if you can. That's what the Hokie coaches did last week. They were out on the road recruiting, trying to sell Virginia Tech and whatnot. And
yeah,
who knows? Some of those might be fighting for their job. They may say, "Hey, I may have a chance here. I'm a good recruiter. Bring in players." You just never know how it's going to unfold. There's so much uneasiness.
That's true.
Uncertainty.
Well, and people have been asking me about that. Would any of these current Tech coaches keep a position? I said, I don't know. You don't know what kind of relationship. You don't know who ultimately is going to be hired. But you're right, to your point. If you have somebody in place here that loves Virginia Tech, that can help out with the recruiting process, you got to look at that guy, right? I mean,
sure.
You can't just all of a sudden. Yeah.
Look at Fontel Mines. I mean, the great job he's done recruiting. The wide receiver coach, and you think about all the ex-players that are here that know the history of Virginia Tech. Well, as a new guy coming in, does he want that, or does he want to clean the house and start from scratch? Who knows? I mean, there's so much uncertainty. You just don't know who they're going to hire, who the head coach is going to be, who the general manager is going to be, what kind of changes are they going to make. They want to just start from scratch. They want to keep some of the past on staff. You just never know. It's all going to be about relationships, and most of these coaches have been around a long time, and they understand, they know people from other schools, other programs. They work together on staffs, and you mentioned a little bit ago the job, South Carolina. I'm sure they're going easy down there too with the way things are going, and they're after Shane. From the offense has been so bad with the Lenore Sellers. They're not scoring a lot of points. Got a new offensive coordinator in Shula. And, he fired his line coach, I think, 2 weeks ago. So nothing changed. They got beat pretty good the other day. And they still got to play Alabama, I think, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Clemson. So, what's going to happen there?
I know.
You're only as good as your last win sometimes. And these people, they have short memories, these donors.
Well, and the one thing that I've maintained, and you can tell me if you've heard otherwise, people are panicking. I say Tech doesn't need to panic. They don't need to rush anything. They got a good situation they've created now with the money. And I got to be honest, when I know Bruce Arians and Bud Foster are part of this, I don't worry about it. And I know that's not easy for other people, but for me, I'm like, you know what? It's going to be fine. They're going to have a good football coach, right?
Yeah, they'll get a good one, yes. The question is, how deep in the hole are you going to be, and how hard is it going to be to dig out? And that's the same thing at Penn State. I mean, you get rid of a guy that won 100, lots of games up there and lots of conference titles and bowl games. Yeah, he lost some big games, yes. But who are they going to hire to come in there that's going to guarantee you're going to win right away? And so you're on $50 million on the hook, and you got to turn around and pay the new guy and the new staff all this money too. There's no guarantee you're going to win more games than James Franklin did last year, right? So
yes,
that's the thing you got to worry about. If you don't get the right guy, or the players don't mesh, or the chemistry's not there, and what's going to happen in Florida State? Are those kids going to quit on him the rest of the way? They go out there and lay an egg at Stanford, not one of the better teams in the league.
Yeah,
and you just never know. I mean, it might improve the Hokies' chances of winning in Tallahassee, which might be good. If they could get on a little bit of a roll here, that would be a nice way to finish up the season. I think that would be a great thing to do. And obviously, with UVA playing well, that doesn't help things either, right? Because they're sitting there bowl already, and they seem like they find ways to win. 2 overtime wins. I mean, they get a safety the other day to win. I mean, come on.
How does that happen? When does that ever happen?
Not very often.
Well, and to your point, Coach Elmasian and Bill Ross said it last week. Like a place like Penn State, it sounds crazy, but their pool for candidates, when you get rid of a James Franklin, is a lot more limited than what Tech has at its disposal. I think people understand that, but they're correct, aren't they? Penn State can't just bring anybody up there now.
No, that's true. But, again, it's relationships. And I think Matt Rule's got a pretty good relationship with their AD. So the speculation is that he'll be the next coach there. We'll have to wait and see. But, you just never know. If that's the case, then you got another job opening up, right?
Yeah.
So it's just going to be a domino effect, and it's hard to tell where it's going to end.
And he didn't help himself with that performance on Saturday either, right? Nebraska, like he's been mentioned all week. He didn't really shoot it down. Then they go out and lay an egg over the weekend too. So
yeah. What did you think about James Franklin on game day? I thought that was a pretty nice interview. I thought he did a good job with that.
Well, they was smart, right? He got himself out there. I'm sure he'd worked it out with ESPN. ESPN wants any chance to make the Big Ten look bad, right? Since they like the SEC. And, it was like him against Penn State in the world. He didn't take responsibility for anything that happened, which was disappointing. But, yeah, it was very smart. It was very it was a very smart marketing move for James Franklin.
Yeah, it's kind of cool way Saban kind of took the reign there and said, I'll tell you why. He kind of like went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but I thought that was good.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we don't know what's going to happen. A lot of people, I understand everybody but we've got 12, 13 jobs open. We might have upwards of 24 major jobs open here in a matter of weeks. And that blows me away. It's unbelievable.
I know it's going to be so much change and so much craziness going on. You never know how it's going to end up. But I just think Virginia Tech's in a good position because they've committed the money to it. And I think they got a good committee, and I think they'll make the right hire. And we'll see how it plays out. But I'm confident that they'll do a great job with it. And, they'll get this thing back on track. It's going to take some time. And obviously, how many players on this team this year will be here next year. That's hard to tell as well. We do know they'll have to find a quarterback, obviously. Not that there's anything wrong with Pop Watson, but you just got to get somebody in here that can back him up or be better than him. And so there's going to be a lot of change, that's for sure. A lot of guys moving parts for sure.
Mike Burnett joining us on the program. His appearance brought to you by Louise Baker, the Louise Baker Team Long and Foster Realtors. Mike talked about the entrance rates falling. They've continued to fall, and that helps somebody like Louise, right?
She's the best. She got all that knowledge and from years and years of experience, and she knows the New River Valley, the Roanoke Valley. She knows everything about every house that's around and all the lenders and the closing people. Yeah, her knowledge is unreal. So, yeah, if you got needs out there, definitely check out Louise Baker. She's the best. Great Hokie.
And then she becomes part of your family, too. Like, she cares about people more than the deal. I mean, the deal's important, but she cares more about people than the deal.
Just almost like real estate, almost like coaching, right? It's a relationship business.
It is.
She's got great relationships with everybody around, and yeah, she's the best. She's awesome.
And not everybody can do that. One question, and I would never, ask you any questions. I know there's certain things that can't be, but do you feel like Tech now has learned from the past? Their last hire wasn't a head coach, that they feel like, okay, now they know what they need to do in terms of what they're looking for. That helped them maybe put them in the right mindset to find what they're looking for going forward.
Well, you never know, right? I mean, Fu was the head coach, and it didn't work out right at the end.
True.
So Brent Pry was a great assistant coach, and he had to kind of rebuild everything from scratch up. I thought he was doing a great job, and he didn't win enough of the close games, and so they make a change. So you just never know. Look how good Marcus Freeman worked out, right? He was an assistant coach.
Sure,
so
very true.
You never know, who's out there and what's out there. That's why when you got a guy like Bruce that's been around the college game and the NFL game, and he knows so many people, and he's so well connected with all that stuff. And same way with Bud too. You got to love that those guys are kind of heading up that thing, because there's a lot of great people on that committee. But in football minds, those two are like head and shoulders above.
Well, it's hard. I think people understand it's hard to find a football. It's hard to get that match to work, right? Bill said that last week. I don't think people realize how hard it is. It's easy to say, let's put this guy here, that guy there. You got to go get him. You just said it. You don't know. You think you make a great – Justin Fuente was a home run hire on paper. Didn't work out. Witt had the best comment ever when he said that was a 5-star recruit that ended up not panning out, right, in the long run. So you just don't know. You never know. You don't know. So.
Yeah, that's true. And it's it's not just going to be here too. I mean, think of the pressure to get somebody at Penn State in Florida. those two programs, the success and the history that they've had with winning and national championships at Florida and all that kind of stuff and all the resources they have. Yeah, it's there's pressure everywhere. And especially nowadays when you're paying these players all this money and donors are anteing up and they expect results, return on investment, right?
Yeah.
That's what they want. And that's the way it's going to have to be. So you just got to hope that they will find the right guy, and that guy will be the right guy. And he'll be able to come in and fix things, get them back on track, and get ready if that next expansion or whatever happens comes, and you'll be part of that mix.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I get the sense you like Friday night games, don't you? Because you get Saturday off. You get to watch football on Saturday.
Yeah, well, this Saturday we'll be a little busy with all that other stuff.
True, you got basketball this week. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, the Friday nights have taken the place of Thursday night, right? Because the NFL kind of took over Thursday nights, so the college game is not what it used to be when Virginia Tech was on the map on those Thursday night games. Everybody got so excited. So, and I think for the fans, it's probably a little better because you got the weekend. You don't have to worry about Friday work, right? Or you just take Friday off. You don't have to take Thursday and Friday off. And so I think in that regard, it's good. It's going to be chilly for sure, but the atmosphere ought to be awesome. And Cal, we never played in the regular season. This is the first time they've ever been here and played them since Aaron Rodgers and that Insight Bowl back in whatever it was, 2003 or something. And that was a shootout at the OK Corral.
It was.
So, yeah, but it'll be fun to have them in the house, and it should be a great atmosphere. Looking forward to it, and, hopefully the Hokies will play well.
Well, it's going to be fun, and you can hear Mike and Bill on the coverage and Zach, and it'll be a great time. And you expect to sell out? What are you hearing about the tickets? People have been asking.
No, I think there's still tickets out there available.
Okay.
They may say that if they give the rest of the tickets to SeatGeek or something. I'm not sure, but I don't think it has sold out. One of those things, when you're sitting there with 2 wins, that makes it a little bit difficult to sell tickets for a primetime game, especially during the week.
Well, Mike, as always, man, appreciate you. Great insight, and have fun on Saturday. I know you will. That'll be great having that 95 team back. That's awesome.
Yeah, it will be fun. I haven't seen some of those guys in a long time. And, of course, Ace and David Jackson are here all the time.
That's right. That's right.
It'll be good to see. And, just watching this team in the exhibition game will be fun, too, because they'll be right after it here soon. And, gosh, before you know it, we'll be Thanksgiving in the Bahamas playing 3 games.
I know.
It's crazy. Where does Radford go?
They're at home the first couple, and then the first big one is we got to go to North Carolina. Get to see them up close and personal down in Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. Got a trip to SMU, where Zach came from a little bit later on as well, and they're playing up at the Greenbrier. They get play South Carolina. So there's some tests on there, to see.
Yeah. Thanksgiving, y'all are home though.
I think we're traveling right before that. We get back, I think, a couple days before. Yeah.
Okay, well, good. Yeah, the Greenbrier ought to be fun. That's a great place.
Yeah, it's cool what they've done in that ballroom, turning into a little basketball gym, man. It's kind of cool. We went up there a couple years ago. It was very interesting, very unique. But and they have the mid-major side, then they have the majors that come up there. So it's kind of cool how they've parlayed that. It's building. So
yeah, that's neat. Good stuff.
It is. All right, brother. Have a great week, man. We'll be listening on Friday.
Okay, sounds good, Rick. Look forward to next week, and hopefully we'll have a big W to talk about.
Exactly. I get the sense we will. I don't know. I really believe we will. I think we will.
Yeah, I feel good about our chances. I know they just got to stop that passing game. You got to get the running game going with Terrion Stewart and Hawkins and those guys, and Drones has got to play well. Hopefully the line will be healed up enough that they can open up some holes on that defense and get them going.
Absolutely. All right, brother. Have a great rest of the week, and have fun on Friday. All right,
sounds
man.
Good.
Take care.
Appreciate it. Take care.
There you go. Appreciate you, man. Great stuff from Mike Burnup as always. And thanks to Louise Baker, the Louise Baker team, Long and Foster Realtors, 540-320-0382, nrvhomes.com. We don't just say that, Mike and I, about Louise. She's true. She becomes part of your family. She's always going to be part of mine going forward. How she helped out me and my brother. We were in dire straits after we lost Mom and didn't know what was going on. And she came in and gave us a lot of great direction, got everything turned over the way we needed. And I'll never be able to thank her enough. Good people, Mike and Louise, hand in hand. That's the way it should be. I want to thank Family Fencing, sponsors of our studios here in Reiner. Thanks to them. They have a no-dig installation system, free quotes. They have finance options, 540-200-8294. They will be installing during the winter. They will do winter installs. So we're going to tell you more about that. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic. Go see him right off of Peppers Ferry Road. The latest technology sponsor of our chat room, which is always just blowing up even more and more. It seems like every day. And Travis Williams, a professional door sponsor of our text line, went to go see Mark yesterday. I love it. The cross-contamination of supporters of this program means a lot. 38 years in business, garage doors. They got the Walmart deal years ago to fix all those doors up front. They're very good. Very, very good. Go see them. Don't mess with anybody else. All right. National Bank member FDIC, thanks to Larry Ramsey. Been with them personally for about 35 years, and they're the exclusive banking partner of BDST. We've got the Ryan Pry. We've got the BDST fan question of the week, and he's over on 701 West Main Street this week. It's pretty simple. Do you want Shane Beamer to be your next head football coach in Blacksburg? Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street, 540-553-2971. Look for the blue and white truck. They're everywhere because they're in high demand because of the work that they do. Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment with Jonathan Sweet, the presenting sponsor of this program. And give them a call. You want to find out what's going on. You want to help. You want to just get inspired. Talk to all the people up there at Pulaski County. Harvey's GM in Radford, Brad Harvey. We've had people here on the chat talk about those folks, how great they are. And they are. I bought my last 3 vehicles from them. Yes, I have. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply at 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. Give James a call, 540-381-8011. And go bowling at the NRV Super Bowl. Boogie Bowling is here. Halloween, my birthday. It's a celebration, really, for my birthday. 382-5525. Got to get Ronnie Horton on here. Ronnie, if you're watching, got to get you on here. He's the pro over there. Ronnie with the impeccable bowler's hair. Hey, Frank. Yes, sir. Love hearing from Mike Burnham. Mike is the best. The best. Absolute best. So, yeah, he's got to be on here. Right? Great stuff. Great stuff, as always. And thanks to you. We still got some time here to hang out. Yeah, Tony says Horton would be great. Yeah, Tony, I got to give Ronnie a call. I know Ronnie listens and watches the show because he comments on the Facebook page. So we got to get Ronnie back on here. I wish I were a better bowler. I never have taken the time. Maybe I had. That's why. But I love being at the bowling alley. I like the vibe there, man. So much fun. I don't take it that seriously because I'm not good at it. I'd roll that hard straight ball, man. I can't do all the cool stuff. But they have 300 bowlers. They got some really good. They have a bowling league. They have some really good bowlers, man. I just like sitting back and watching the really good bowlers and going, wow, look at that. You know, and I grew up in an era where televised bowling, I mean, David Till will talk about it all the time. Televised bowling with Chris Schinkel, that was a big deal on ABC. Bowling with the PBA Tour, man, that was fun. I remember watching. I couldn't wait to watch bowl. I know. But back then, it was cool. But bowling's something we all like because you don't have to have an amazing amount of athleticism, right? You just have to be able to do the technique. But I love it. Absolutely love it. But yeah, great stuff today, man. It's always great stuff here hanging out with you guys and gals. Always. It sets me up for the rest of my day. And we do want to thank Marva, Miami, for joining us, Brian Siegler, and Mike Burnham here today. Who do you think you are? I am. Yeah. Yeah, the great quote. On X, the super, was that Pete Weber? Who was that? I can't remember who that was that said that. He celebrates that all the time, that he bowled a strike and he's all fired. It's great stuff. And you had what? was the Big Lebowski. You had, what was the movie with Bill Murray and Woody Harrelson? What was that called? Bowling was big. Thank you. It was, Bob. Bowling was huge. Kingpin. Is that the name of the movie? Kingpin, yeah. I think I like any movie about bowling. I think I do. Those guys are very talented, man. You watch the new era, and they're very talented. Very talented. Yeah, Norm Duke was awesome. He was. But Chris Schenkel calling the PBA. He did college football. He was their main guy, and he would go do PBA because he loved it. I think he was actually in a bowling league. He bowled, so he understood it. I'd love to broadcast bowling. That'd be great. Like to have some pro, like meet Ronnie Horton. You have Ronnie as my analyst. That'd be fun. Be a lot of fun. A lot going on potentially on the program tomorrow. We know Keon Brown's going to be here. Matt Roan. I don't know about Roth yet. I believe Damian Sordelet tomorrow. And Teal. We could have a lot going on tomorrow. We got to organize things as the day goes on. And I'll let you know on the Facebook page and on social media. Get bowling at RU, Rick. We used to have a bowling alley up there in the student game room. It may still be there. Do they still have it? Do we still have it? Wayne says, yes, Kingpin, one of the greatest scenes ever with an old lady. Yep, Kingpin's an underrated movie. Yeah, it's a fun movie. Yeah. I'm in charge of that. I'll be in charge of that, Brandon. I'll be in charge of the bowling committee at Radford. I mean, you think about it. There might be some of you that are really, really good at bowling. I mean, I know they have a small bowling alley in the Bonnie, but that doesn't count. They used to have a full thing. But bowling, have you ever had a bad time at a bowling alley? Now, my mom was really good. It's crazy. This is where she was good. She bowled in a women's league up at Leisure Lanes in Pulaski. My mom. And we would go and we'd bowl in some of the side lanes, my brother and I and some of the other kids and so forth. But yeah. But I never took the time to learn. I was playing team sports. I was playing football and basketball. I never got into it. But yeah, my mom was a decent bowler, man. She did it for several years. She was a nurse and she was I think she was on the hospital bowling team. Simpler times, man, when you could go bowl and that was your fun for the weekend. It's still fun for a lot of people. But I just don't know. I just don't think there's a bad vibe at the bowling alley. That's why I'm so happy to have NRV Super Bowl as a sponsor. I never see Ronnie Horton without a smile on his face. Just saying. Now, if you're really good, and I know you're trying to beat personal records and you're trying to get your average, which may be like at 230 or 240. A little history here. Thanks, TP. Leisure Lanes is where Horton got his start. And your uncle, Gary Earl Marion. Oh, Gary Marion. Oh, Gary Marion's your uncle? I played softball with Gary for years. Tony, Gary Marion. He could put the ball anywhere he wanted. Oh, I'm going to go opposite field down the line. Oh, I'm going to hit the gap. I think I'll drive this one back up the middle. He's a hell of a bowler. He's a hell of a softball player, too. You know this. Guy's just an athlete. Like to have seen Gary back in the day. Yeah. Gary Marion's an athlete and a great dude. I worked with him at Food Line for years. He was in the meat department at Food Line when I was there working through college. I actually worked a little for Gary. Yeah. Morris, I'm the dude. And see, these are the kind of things we can branch into Saturday during the live show. Because if I start doing it now, we'll never get off the air. You get Rick down the rabbit hole. Things like Chris Schenkel and Gary Marion, Ronnie Horton. We're going to be talking about it for hours. So we'll save it. Thanks to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Please subscribe, like, and share. Thanks to our guests. Thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors we just talked about. And have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow on the Hump Day Wednesday edition, everybody. Take care. Be good. We'll see you.